希望能把这个冠军留在自己的国家，留在 LPL。
It's been a long journey already since we went through the play-ins. No one really thinks highly of any at roles because it's always the Koreans and the Chinese teams that are very dominant.
Every single time we've gotten to like a stage, it's like, yeah, you're getting smashed by the other team. Like that's what the whole community is saying. And now I hope we can prove everyone wrong once again.
我觉得是必须要突破8强这个吧，这次又是在自己的国家，希望能突破一下。
辅助 Ben， 同样欢迎。拿出你们的热情，让我们再一次欢迎 WE 英雄日逐传奇。比赛现在开始。
of these teams as they take the stage here in Guangzhou, China for our final quarterfinal. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson, closing out the quarterfinals with Indiana Frosker in black, Alberto Crumbs Rangifo, and Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler. How are we doing today on this fourth day?
Pretty stoked, actually. I mean, the crowd was super hyped. We've got to see Cloud9 and Team WE. I feel like I've been with both these teams the entire run of play-ins, and I just want to see how it ends.
All right, well, bear with us as we are having some technical difficulties, so we are going to work through it as best we can here today. Let's go ahead and frame up the series by recognizing that both of these teams have... All right. Let's go ahead and frame out this conversation as both of these teams did play through the play-ins. They are the two remaining third seeds from their regions, and they're looking to move on and represent their regions in that semifinal.
And if you weren't hyped enough for this match, you've seen these guys come in from the play-ins. We have more games than anybody else on the tournament, and we still can't really be certain about what these two teams are going to bring to the table today in terms of who's going to come out significantly ahead.
It's also the dominating fashion of which those two teams made it through play-ins, going undefeated. Team WE then 5-1, Cloud9 3-3 on the day.
All right, well, as we talk about these two teams and the journey that it took for them to get here, of course, both of these teams did dominate through the play-in, undefeated runs there. Did have their fair share of struggles for both of them in the groups, but also their very high moments. And what we need to recognize is that for Team WE, they look to be the second LPL team to go to Shanghai alongside RNG, who took down Fnatic last night. Let's talk about that series real quick.
Last hope. They've been in this situation numerous amount of times, but they have gotten to be used to this environment that I think plays a bigger part than many of us can really expect, because no longer do you have jet lag, your body's already used to the situation, and you're scrim partners and you're used to the meta because you've seen already 3 quarterfinal matches go so far, so you know what works and what doesn't.
All right, but let's talk about key factors in this matchup, right? Specific lanes and players that might be able to tilt it one way or the other. I think we have to talk about that mid lane in CA versus Jensen.
Yeah, the big thing about here is that Jensen is still the golden child of Cloud9, and if there's a way that they can exploit player for player, it is the weakest link in CA. CA has what I call a very limited effective champion pool. If he's not on Syndra, if he's not on LeBlanc, chances are he's going to get blasted, and who's better to do that than Jensen himself?
entire tournament. If we look at Team WE specifically, they were the first team to bring out that Caitlyn, but Cloud9 quick to jump on that train and say, hey, in that interview with Sneaky, we couldn't beat it, so we said, what happens if we take it?
Exactly. It was not just the Caitlyn, but also looking at Contracts as champ people who was playing carry, final game, realizing this is not working. We need to change when it matters. Switches over to the Gragas. You saw Jensen on LeBlanc as well, and a team that can adapt on the fly, especially in the best of 5, being able to recognize the patterns of an opponent in game 1 and keep going with that momentum is going to be huge, where I think a lot of my confidence in these team in this matchup comes in the coaches, both Hom and Reaper, excellent players at their time, veterans that have won championships. Draft and just strategy is so deep in this tournament.
I was just about to bring this up. These coaches have a long history with each other. They know each other very well. Reaper has coached in the LPL. He knows Team WE. We've already seen a beautifully sculpted Shin composition when Cloud9 faced EDG and smashed them the first time around. So I actually think game 1 is incredibly important if Cloud9 have a prepared strategy, if they feel that they have a good read on how the LPL teams like to play.
And now we talk about the importance of the mid lane, but I think when we talk about the mid lane in this tournament, so much of it is about how that mid lane spills over into the side lanes, and that's where I want to shoot down to the bottom lane. Mystic being a star player for Team WE, so much of their success has come off the back of his team fighting ability, looking at how much damage he can output as compared to the opposing ADC.
If you look at any measurable statistic, Mystic is going to rank either first or second across the board. It's hard not to make an argument for him as one of the best AD carries, if not the best performing ADC statistically in the tournament, and everything that Team WE, all of their win conditions, if it's about Jensen on Cloud9, it's about Mystic on WE. They will put so many resources and so much time into protecting him, and on the other side, Sneaky and Smoothie have more of that defensive play style.
And while I agree that Mystic is superb, one of the best AD carries, if not the best AD carry here, with a lead especially, the team does a little bit more than just funnel resources into him. They're so good at shutting down the other AD carry as well, so that discrepancy goes even further than just his skill disparity between the other AD carry, and as a result, he looks like a god, and the other AD carry looks like somebody that should have been playing another role.
And I think a lot of people would point to that EDG game that Cloud9 played. If you're going to worry about the bot lane, it's got to be about the visitation of all 5 members from the opposing lane, and can Sneaky and Smoothie play a solid enough defensive game to navigate that situation? Unfortunately, I got to cut Kobe off because I'm receiving word that your audio's not going out to the stream. So, as brilliant a point as you just made, I'm going to go ahead and redirect to my other 2 analysts. And we'll just kind of shove you over to the side for now. Yeah, get up nice and close. But we were talking about the defensive play out of Sneaky and Smoothie, and pointed out that in play-ins even, that was a target for some of the teams. And so whether or not they've shored up that weakness, if we're going to call it that, or found a way to, play around it, Crumbs, that's where I turn to you and say, where do you see this matchup hinging for Cloud9, and maybe even being able to find an advantage?
So I actually think that a lot of this will also come down to the top lane in unsuspected areas that we haven't really looked at before, because top lane affects bottom lane. Every time that you have been in a bottom lane centric meta, it always goes down to who can impact it more. And then the top lane for Cloud9, the Shen, the teleport plays, the guy that has been playing tanks, basically giving his own lane for the benefit of the team, is where I think Cloud9 will get a big advantage. But that's not to say that WE don't have a great top lane that can do the exact same.
Yeah, specifically on the Shin point, I think Shin can be a pivotal pick here unless we continue to see more of that adaptation coming into this series, simply because it's been such a great answer to protecting the bottom lane, but then also punishing these over-aggressive, over-eager plays that a lot of the LPL teams tend to make. Now that said, 957 and Impact have both shown an incredible Shin, but Cloud9 do have the added benefit that they also have the Nautilus in terms of their champion pool that they can look for more of those tanky engagers.
Now we talk about Kobe brought up the fact that he doesn't expect Cloud9 to stagnate in this series. And again, I want to return to this idea that with the Misfits series, it was all about adapting to not only champion select, but the play within the game, and that'll probably be the primary focus here for Cloud9 and Team WE. Based on Game 1, quickly identify what went wrong, what went right, what do we need to change about our draft, what do we need to change about our style to get an edge this time around. I would love to see a team say, hey, bottom lane is your problem, let's just make the game about the top lane, as you mentioned, Crumbs.
They can do that as well. We've seen it work with SKT, Huni playing the Jace. You can play that style, but I don't think it's quite Cloud9 style. I do think, however, that they'll use that advantage in the top side to spill over to the bottom. And you talk about adaptation with everything that we've seen in the tournament so far. The one thing that I will be so disappointed if one of these teams don't realize is the value of Tristana right now. This champion is busted. You cannot give it away. You got to take it.
And that's the thing, is Team WE actually don't place a high value on Tristana. Yes, they'll grab it if it's open, but they much more would like the Xayah. And the LPL Xayah is considered the automatic win lane. You always get the push there. And the thing is WE, yes, they kind of brought up the siege composition, breaking down towers early, but traditionally they want to isolate and elongate the lane phase because they want to funnel in more gold. They like the fact that Mystic is looking across from the enemy ADC and they say, this guy can punish him and he can put him behind, so let's keep these lanes up and continue to draw out gold.
And right now, well, looks like we are about to jump into Champions Select.
All right, well, there you have it. As we are jumping into Champions Select, we talk about adaptability. Let's see what these teams have.